Think about the idea of inheritance, not just from a monetary standpoint, but from a standpoint of knowledge, what we pass down. It's a beautiful, universal human idea. A grandmother passes down a secret family recipe. A father teaches his child a craft. A family home is filled with the joy of a new generation. It's the thread that connects the past to the future. Now imagine an entire nation, one of the most culturally significant in human history. It is running out of its youth. This isn't a dystopian film. This is the reality in modern Italy. The Italy we know, the land of the Roman Empire, the Renaissance, and the food that is loved worldwide, is now facing a silent existential threat. The root of this crisis is a demographic collapse of historic proportions. Italy's total fertility rate has fallen to a catastrophic 1.2 children per woman, one of the lowest on the entire planet, while the number of births recently plummeted to below 370,000 in 2024, and it marked the 16th consecutive annual decline, and it was the lowest figure since the country's unification in 1861. This was down around 2.6% from 2023 and nearly 36% lower than in 2008. And let's be clear, this isn't a slowdown, it is a catastrophic collapse in births. Italy crossed the demographic death cross back in 2007. The gap between deaths and birth has become a massive chasm since. And I want to discuss for a moment how the UN projection passively underestimates decline, because Italy is a great example of this. Looking at Italy's chart, the chart for deaths and births, you can clearly see how the UN massively overestimates projected births in countries facing clear population decline and rapidly declining births. Where Italy's downward slope on births since 2010 has been far steeper than projections. We can kind of graph the slope and get an idea of where births may end up. So here's the reality. The 370,000 births that Italy had in 2024 wasn't projected to happen, according to the UN, until 2045. So Italy's population decline was literally 20 years ahead of schedule from projections that happened in 2023. These are not projections from the year 2000. These are projections from 2023 of what will happen in 2024, and they were off by 20 years. The country is now losing the population equivalent of a city the size of Florence every 2 years from natural change alone. In 2025, Italy's population is likely to decline by around 200,000 people. And this decline just keeps accelerating. The most haunting evidence of this decline is found in the stunning Italian countryside. The nation is home to thousands of borghi fantasma, or ghost towns, beautiful medieval villages that are slowly being reclaimed by nature. There are now an estimated 6,000 of these abandoned towns, with another 15,000 at risk of depopulation within the next generation. This phenomenon is especially concentrated in the South, where a deep and persistent economic divide has been hollowing out communities for decades. But unlike some other struggling European nations, Italy's crisis isn't just about people not being born, it's about the people who are born giving up and leaving. It's a national tragedy known as the flight of the brains. Italy's best and brightest young people are fleeing the country in droves, seeking opportunities they cannot find at home. In the last decade, more than 1 million Italians, a huge portion of them highly educated graduates, have moved abroad. And this brain drain isn't just a cultural loss, it is a massive economic self-sabotage. Each graduate who leaves represents tens of thousands of euros in public education investment walking out the door. This brain drain in Italy has only been getting worse and has contributed greatly to their economic stagnation. It creates a vicious cycle. The most ambitious people leave, which makes the country poorer and less innovative, which in turn encourages even more people to leave. It's not hard to see why these young people are fleeing, because for a young person in Italy, the dream of building a stable future has become an impossibility. The country is stuck in a state of economic decline, marked by decades of stagnation, political instability, and soul-crushing bureaucracy. Italy's GDP per capita was actually higher in 2008 than in 2023, which amounts to functionally being in a 15-year-long recession. This has created a youth unemployment rate that currently stands at 21.6%, forcing young adults to remain dependent on their families for years. The average age for a young Italian to leave their parental home is now over 30 years old, compressing the potential timeline to start a family and have the kids Italy desperately needs. And this isn't a recent problem. It's a chronic national illness. Italy's economy has basically declined in the past decade and a half, making it the worst performing major economy in the entire Eurozone. Starting a business is notoriously difficult in Italy, tangled in a web of regulations that ranks Italy as one of the hardest places in the developed world to get permits and navigate red tape. This economic paralysis is the bedrock of its demographic decay, creating a society where long-term hope is a scarce commodity. This exodus of youth and the lack of births has turned Italy into the oldest country in Europe, a title no nation wants. The median age has soared to a shocking 48.2 years now, from an already high 39.2 in the year 2000. The image of the large, bustling Italian family has been replaced by a new reality. 1/5 of all households now consist of a single person living alone. More than 24.5% of Italy's population is already over the age of 65. This demographic reality has twisted Italy's population pyramid into a shape that guarantees a difficult future. The base of young people has evaporated, leaving a massive bulge of older generations moving towards the top. Its population pyramid looks far more like a light bulb than a pyramid, and their light is going out. The country is projected to lose over 5 million people by 2050, with the population potentially falling from 59 million to just 43 million by 2070. And quite frankly, the accelerated rate of decline is likely very much underestimated. The population pyramid of the future is where the true nightmare lies, though, where the structure will completely break down as the population ages. Around 41% of the Italian population will be over the age of 60 by 2050. This will cause the old age dependency ratio to explode, with just over one working age person available to support each retiree, placing an impossible burden on the nation's pension and healthcare systems. Faced with this collapse, Italy has, like other European nations, turned to immigration. But this has been a deeply conflicted and politically volatile situation. And this tension has reached a boiling point with the election of Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, who ran on a platform that was deeply opposed to mass immigration, where she is now literally shipping immigrants to Albania, even as she now confronts the mathematical reality of historically low births and an Italy that desperately needs more workers. And this creates a painful paradox. Immigrants are drawn to the economic opportunities of the more prosperous northern region, adding more pressure to cities like Milan, where housing is already scarce and expensive. Meanwhile, the depopulated southern towns that desperately need new families are bypassed entirely, with much of southern Italy only seeing 2 to 3% of their population being foreign-born. And it's a solution that fails to address the core geographic imbalance of the crisis, while the average cost to rent in Italy per square meter has increased by over 35% between 2018 and 2023, a massive increase for a population that is in dire straits demographically and economically. This massive increase to housing costs will ensure that their birth rates will only continue to decline to even lower levels. And underpinning all of this is Italy's legendary political instability. With around 70 governments since the end of World War II, it's been impossible to implement the kind of serious long-term multi-decade strategy needed to tackle a crisis of this magnitude. Policies seem to change with the political winds, leaving a trail of half-finished reforms and temporary fixes. This prevents the sustained investment in childcare, education, and job creation that might actually convince Italians to invest in their own future. The government is trying to fight back, offering baby bonuses of thousands of euros to encourage families to have more children. They've even tried to sell their abandoned homes in the ghost towns for €1 to anyone willing to move in and renovate. I don't know, would you move to a ghost town? That sounds like a great economic opportunity. Not really. But at the end of the day, these policies are like trying to fix a cracked roof with a band-aid. The underlying economic and social despair driving the crisis remains untouched. And we are left asking, what is the future of the Italy that we once knew? Is it a future where the phrase "made in Italy" becomes a historical label? Who will be left to carry on the traditions of the Parmesan cheesemakers, the Venetian glassblowers, the Neapolitan pizza chefs, when the young have either left or were never born? The nation is at risk of becoming a living museum, its beauty preserved in stone, but its soul slowly fading away. The silent towns and crumbling farmhouses are not just a tragedy for Italy, they are a warning to the world about what happens when a country loses its most precious inheritance, its own future. So how do you see Italy's demographic future playing out? Can they ever reverse their population collapse, or are they on a pathway to complete destruction? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and please consider liking and subscribing. This has been Blinded by Logic. Thanks for watching.